Om Shanti. Let us begin our session for today. So sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight. And once you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. Just start connecting with your breath. Watch the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. Now shift your attention to your body. Become aware of your posture. Make sure your back and neck are straight. Align and adjust yourself. Now come back to your breathing. Begin to deepen the breath. Slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. We are going to open today's session by chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join both the palms together and begin to rub the palm. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, open up the eyes. Come back to the smile. Om Shanti. Let us begin our session for today. So today in yesterday's class, we were talking about Bhakti Yoga, and today we are going to continue that topic, right? So Bhakti, as I have talked before also about the concept of Bhakti, it's very, beautiful, right? Because it is connecting us to the base emotion that all of us are somewhere looking for, which is love only, right? You can look for love in one form or the other, but at the end of the day, most of us, or in fact, I would go ahead and say all of us are somewhere looking for love only, and it is this emotion that we want to feel or connect with, right? So the person or the situation which makes us feel this way, we get very attached to that also sometimes, right? So because it is the essential emotion that you are looking for, right? But in the purest form, love is freeing, it is unconditional, it will never burden you or bind you, right? So Bhakti Yoga is telling you how to love properly, right? It's showing you the correct way of loving, of coming out of passionate love and turning it into compassionate love, right? So the different processes that we, practice in Bhakti Yoga, they are actually, if you closely look at them, love is getting generated, but it is not passionate, right? It's compassionate, right? Passion is generally very binding, it's very burdening, right? But when you are compassionate towards someone, it frees you and the things that are around you, right? If your love turns into compassionate love, nobody around you, they will feel burdened by your love, right? So Bhakti Yoga is the path in which we remove these impurities of expression of love, and we come, like, move towards compassion, right? Compassionate is only one way flow, no matter what the situation, circumstance, no matter what it is, no matter who it is, like smallest of things to biggest of things, right? It doesn't matter. If you see a yogi, if you see a bhakt, they will show equal devotion towards everything, because they understand everything is coming out of just one essential thing, right? So their love, it is never they never show different love towards one and different love towards another, right? Like nature, if you sow a seed, right, in the soil, right, if the seed gets correct circumstances, it gets the perfect sunlight, it gets water, right, all the necessities are getting fulfilled, so nature will not, not allow the seed to bloom, right? The seed will bloom because nature is, not distinguishing, is it a lemon tree or is it a mango tree, right? It's just giving flourishment to whatever there is, right? No distinction, right? So yesterday we were talking about Bhagavad Gita specifically, and I mentioned over there are two types of bhaktis. One is the lower form of bhakti and one is the higher form of bhakti. So lower form of bhakti, it is the apara bhakti, right? Apara bhakti is more mechanical in nature. So definitely a person who is in bhakti yoga, right? They are going to be very emotional, right? But initial level, beginner level, conscious level, right? They are going to, go for some mechanical kind of practices, right? Because they need something to purify the mind, they need something to, cleanse the mind, or they need some support to come out of the impurity of mind. Suppose that I am a beginner level practitioner in bhakti yoga, right? So now you will see this practice going on where, a lot of people, like what they do when the unwanted emotion comes up, right? Or the, you can say, defilement of the mind, it shows up. Maybe I'm getting jealous, or maybe I'm getting angry. So, they are asked to repeat the name of the God that they really believe in, right? So when you're getting angry, even then, bhakts or people who have believed in bhakti yoga, followed the path a lot of for a lot of time also, they start repeating the name of the God, right? So now this repetition of the name of the God, what this repetition is actually doing, it's just leading you to a point where your attention gets focused on the qualities that you want to focus on, right? So when you repeat the name, you are slowly, stepping back from your anger, right? So non-generation of anger, like in the beginning, it's not in my control. Till a very high stage, in fact, it's not under anybody's control, right? Because that's the thing about emotions, right? They are like thoughts. You might just want to believe that you can control your thoughts, right? Even though it's a tough thing to do, I would still say that maybe somewhere it's possible, right? But emotions, their beauty is in their unexpectedness and the way in which they are expressed, right? That's just a beautiful energy, right? When an emotion comes up, right? So you cannot on initial level work on just getting rid of the emotion. So what you do, you repeat the name of the God, you remind yourself of the quality that you want to be like, right? When you repeat the name of the God, you remember all the qualities that that God has. You have chosen the God, you feel connected to that God for some reason. And once you go into the repetition of the name or any mantra related to that God, the anger, it begins to subside. Because the more attention you give to one emotion, the more it amplifies, right? Have you ever seen if you get angry and if nobody is there to distract you from that anger, you get more angry and then you get more angry and then you get more angry, right? So what the mantra or the name of the God does, it diverts, right? So like this, there are a lot of practical and mechanical practices that are there in Bhakti Yoga, right? Like for example, in my family, my grandmother, she was a very big devotee, right? So she used to wake up in the morning at 3, right? And she used to bathe and get ready by 4. Then she used to go do some prayers and then she used to go to the temple, right? So these are mechanical practices, right? So when somebody starts on the path of Bhakti Yoga, they might be asked to repeat some mantras, they might be asked to go ahead and visit the temples. They are asked to participate in dancing and singing sessions, in like pulling all nighters even, right? So in the celebration towards a particular god, or to show your devotion towards a particular god. And these are very mechanical practices, because initially maybe you might not connect with them, or even if you do connect with them, you are constantly just repeating that thing over and over again, right? So on initial level, these practices are required. Why? Because the love, the devotion, it needs to deepen, right? When I'm dedicated towards something, right, I do that, I do the hard work, right? If I want to suppose crack some exam, right, I will study, I will do so much hard work so that I can crack that exam. So apara bhakti is more about putting in the work. Because when you are devoted to a goal, when you're devoted to some ambition, or even when you're devoted to a person, right, so you put in the work, right, you put in your entire energy towards that thing, right? So apara bhakti is more about these mechanical practices, these surface level practices, right, where constantly, because of doing them, one, I experience a good and calm state of mind. Second, it deepens my devotion. Sometimes you are singing and you just lose yourself in the song, right? You are devoting that song to somebody, right, to the God in case of Bhakti Yoga, right? And you completely lose yourself, right? And it's a feeling. Bhakti Yoga is all about connecting with the emotion, the feeling of surrender, right? So now Apara Bhakti will remain till a very long time, right? But it eventually turns into Para, which is the higher form of bhakti, right? So right now, maybe most of you have been practicing a parabhakti. Transitioning to parabhakti is not up to you, right? Through your practices, through the continuity of your practices, you are bound to reach a stage where aparabhakti turns naturally into parabhakti, like concentration naturally turns into meditation, right? You cannot, in fact, the day you make up your mind, today I want to do meditation, that day you will be far away, right? It's not something you can control. It happens, right? So parabhakti happens. Parabhakti is the higher stage where you deepen your understanding, you deepen your awareness so much that you see the same essential quality in everything, right? You see that everything is coming out of one source of energy, right? And you see you are not separate from that thing, and that thing is not separate from you, right? So once you, through your experience and practices, you come to this stage, then the bhakt, they interact with everyone, they exist with everyone very harmoniously, right, with a lot of respect, because they see the essential nature being the same in everyone, right? By this stage, the ego, it's dissolving a lot, it has dissolved a lot, right? So this connection of me and the external world, it's very very high, and it leads to parabhakti. Parabhakt doesn't see anything getting distinguished, anything being up down. Parabhakt is out of the dualities of life, right? So male, female, up, down, winter, summer, these are dualities, right? So Parabhakti is above the dualities. It's the ever uh, knowing awareness, right? Ever existing awareness, sorry, which is there, right? Of God being present all around you, right? Or you can say that source of energy. I will not even use the word God, that source of energy being present around you and within you, right? So, depending on what kind of way in which you have entered Bhakti Yoga, there are different types of bhakts also, right? So let's just briefly discuss that, then we will move to today's pranayam class. So first type of bhakt, they are called arth, right? Artha, arth bhakts are people who have come into bhakti yoga because of the immense suffering they have faced in life, right? So it's very well known by now, especially if you're doing a yoga course, you are not merely looking for flexibility, right? Most likely you are also searching for something deeper, right, through the yoga course. So apara bhakti, sorry, arth, arth bhakti, right? So arth bhakti has seen suffering in life, and as a solution or as a way of coming out of that suffering, they have chosen the path of bhakti yoga, right? So it happens with so many of us, right? If somebody, in your very close circle, they are gravely ill, or that that is a situation you have lost control over, you will find people going to temples and just praying, right? That's the last thing that they want to do, right? Maybe you don't even believe in God, right? But most people who don't even believe in God, when the situation is out completely out of their control, they find themselves praying, right? So how are we going to God? We are going to God, right? A God or any energy. God is not merely just this God or that God. Anything that is above us, anything that we believe can solve this situation which logically cannot be solved, right? So don't get confused when I'm using the word God, right? But we find ourselves in surrender, in devotion, right? We find ourselves completely surrendering, just praying at that point of time. So we are believing in the prayer or the power of the prayer, right? But at the same time, we are going towards bhakti yoga only, right? So we are going out of suffering. Maybe you face some financial crisis and you think that nothing is logically working, you don't understand how you're going to make sense out of the situation. So you go, right? You pray. Out of suffering, you are praying, right? Hoping some miracle happens, something changes. So arth bhakt, right? These are categories of bhakt. So out of some suffering in life, right? Then the second category is artharthi. Arthathi. Artharthi. Artharthi bhakt goes to God praying for wealth, right? So this person physically fine, health wise fine, in fact doing good only, right? So all the basic necessities in this person's life, it is getting fulfilled, but because there is this desire for wealth, right? So in first case, we were going again out of suffering, right? Even if financial suffering, we were going out of suffering, but this person has sufficient of everything, artharthi, right? But they want more, right? It happens so many times with us that we have the sufficient amount of money or wealth, whatever you need, right? But you still want more. So you go and pray. So many people, they go and pray for better wealth, right, in their lives. So Artharthi is little bit, better off than the Arth Bhakt, right? Now they are going for worldly possessions. They want more of worldly possessions. So they are going to God. They are devoting their time, their energy, their money towards the devotion of God, so that they can acquire more of the worldly objects, right? Then we come to the third category of bhakt, which is jigyasu. Jigyasu. J-I-G-N-A-S-U, Jigyasu Bhakt, right? So maybe some of you sitting over here, you are in this category, right? So Jigyasu is someone who has, who has everything, is pretty well off, right? Doesn't need anything, like doesn't, there is no कमी नहीं है किसी चीज की. There is everything is there for survival, right? uh, Health is there, money is there, everything is there, but still they feel the void, right? So despite acquiring everything, like maybe still not acquired everything, but at least your basic necessities, they are getting fulfilled. You have sufficient amount of money to even go for some things that you really like to do in life, right? But despite having all of this, you still feel that something is lacking, right? Something is not there, right? You feel the void, right? So the curiosity comes up, right? What more can be there to love, right? So this is the higher ability of the mind stepping in, higher perception of the mind, where you are now understanding or now coming to this realization that okay, I have this, I have everything that society told me. I have job, I have maybe I have been married, I have kids, right? But still, no matter what I do, I'm unable to feel myself of this, void, right? So out of curiosity, this person goes into devotion, right? Now gives their time to devotional practices, repetition of mantras, maybe going for stories of God, right? Through, because this void, no matter what you do, it's not getting filled, right? So in order to understand this, in order to experience more wholeness, right? The bhakt goes, and such a bhakt is called curious one, right? Because it's curiosity which, brought them on the path rather than any other thing, right? And then the fourth type of bhakt is actually your Jnani, Jnani. Jnani is the highest level, right? So starting from the lowest level, lowest meaning you are still struggling for basic necessities, then you are having basic necessities, but you still want the worldly pleasures. Then you, once you experience the worldly pleasures, also you have this desire to rise above the worldly pleasures, right? You go out of curiosity, and then highest level is considered to be Jnani, right? Jnani is someone who already knows, like now this person knows that okay, there is the existence of this kind of energy, right? And the more cleansing that I do through my practices, the more I will get connected to it. So they are already connected, they already have the taste, or they already know the feeling of getting connected to this higher energy, right? But they are still walking on their path. So through the practices of bhakti yoga, they are doing more and more purification, so that this connection that I'm forming, right, it can be sustained. This connection that I am forming, I move towards more permanent, like establishing more permanence in that connection, basically, right? So Gyani already knows, but is still walking on the path because the purification is required. And this is the highest level, right? If you are in the Gyani category, means that in past lives you have already done a lot of work, put in a lot of work, and now you're continuing with that work, right? Gyani is, I would say, very less in number, but they are still there. And such bhakts are walking on this path merely to reach the final goal where entire purification has taken place, right? So with this, I will close the philosophy class for today. And we are going to begin with the pranayama class. Today we are going to get introduced to the last pranayama in for these sessions, right? The practice of Brahmari pranayama, right? So you can just write down Brahmari, Bhramari, Brahmari. This pranayama in English, it's called the humming bee pranayama, right? Humming bee breath. Okay. So humming bee meaning that we are creating the sound which is like humming sound, right? So Brahmari, this literally means Indian black bee, right? If you have ever seen the Indian black bee, you will see that it has a very deep kind of sound, very deep vibrating kind of sound, buzzing. Buzzing is the right term, right? So when we do this pranayam, our main focus is to create that kind of sound, and hence the practice got to be known as humming bee or Brahmari, right? Because of this Indian black bee, right? So what you actually do in this practice, you have to keep the mouth closed. You inhale through the nose inside, right? And as you exhale, breathe out the air, you create a humming kind of sound. And this humming kind of sound is nothing but, if you have completed pranam meditation in your meditation classes, it is the sound of makar, right? So this kind of sound we generate when we do Bhramari pranayama. Now, Brahmari has very specific hand position also. So I will give you three variations of this practice. You can go ahead and do any one of them, right? So the traditional original practice is done with Shanmukhi Mudra. So Shanmukhi is Shanmukhi, right? Shanmukhi Mudra, Mudra. So this is the original or traditional practice. Bhramari Pranayama is generally done in Shanmukhi Mudra, right? But sometimes people are unable to do this variation, this original practice. So we go for variations of this practice, right? So let me just demonstrate Shanmukhi Mudra, demonstrate the pranayam, and then give you variations so that you are aware what all practices you can do. Then we will go ahead and discuss other things connected to this pranayama. Right? So Shanmukhi Mudra, how it is done? The index finger of both your hands, they are going to be placed on the eyes. Okay, now don't press the index finger because eyes are also very sensitive. If I keep them here and I press them, they are going, it's going to hurt my eyes, right? So you can either place the index fingers very lightly on the eyes, and if you feel you are applying pressure, what you can do is you can also place the index fingers on your eyelashes. Okay, so that way the index fingers, they shift a little bit down, and even if you are applying pressure, at least it won't cause harm to your eyes, right? Then my middle finger, both the middle fingers, they are going to be placed where the nostrils are. So this is where my nose is, right? But the nostrils are up above over here, right? When you try to pass the sutra or when you do jal neti, the nostrils, if you see, they are just on the upper side, right? So this is where my ring finger is going to go, both the ring fingers, and I'm not going to close the nostrils, right? So I will just place the ring fingers by the sides, right? Right now, I don't need to close the nostrils with the ring fingers. I just merely have to place them on the side. Okay. Then my ring fingers, they are going to go above my lips. Right. So there is this region below your nose and above the lips. So this is where the ring finger goes. And then the little finger goes below the lips, just little bit above the chin, right? Or just touching the chin, right? So you place these four fingers like this on the face, and the thumb is used to close the ears. So you can push this outer cartilage inside through the pressure that you will generate by your thumb. So the ears are supposed to be closed, right? So nostrils, no, but ears, yes. Okay. So this is the hand position, and you don't have to keep the hand straight like this. You have to have some, like make a curve kind of, right, with the fingers, because if they are straight you will not be able to do the mudra properly. So curve the hands a little bit, right? And I will just demonstrate the mudra to you. So your hands need to be at shoulder level. It shouldn't be too up or too down, too backward or too forward. If somebody is looking at me from there, it's a straight line, right? And if I go too up, it will, form pressure on my shoulders. If I go down, again, it's going to not allow me to place the hands easily. It gets uncomfortable, right? So elbows should be facing on the sides, right, on opposite ends, right? So this is how we do the Shannon Mudra. Okay, so this is how you do the Shannon Mudra. And like for me also a little bit, they were going up, but like this, right? And with the, thumbs, you close the ears. So this is Shanmukhi Mudra. And with Shanmukhi Mudra, we do Brahmari Pranayama. So again, just listen to the instructions that I'm giving as I form the mudra also, right? So just place all of your fingers correctly, right? Close the eyes and then take a deep inhalation through the nose. And as you exhale, create a nasal kind of sound, keeping the mouth closed. And you have to allow the sound to fade away, right? So it's a very nasal kind of sound, and the lesser pressure you put on the throat, and the more nasal accent or nasal kind of sound that you are able to generate, the more vibration you will be able to feel, right? So I perform Brahmari at a higher volume also so that it's audible to you guys. But actually, when you're doing your own practice, it can be quite a low sound. And main focus is over here. The vibrations are getting produced over here. The vibration should come from here. So if you are doing the sound low, and the more nasal it is in accent, the more vibration you will be able to feel here, right? So now how about those people who cannot go for this variation, right? It's too, like, the finger placement, everything, it's too, you have to be careful, you have to, make sure it's done correctly. So for those people who are unable to do this, the alternate practice for them is to plug their index fingers into their ears, right? Again, the elbows are going to be out, right, like this. And in this, we are just closing the ears. If you are feeling uncomfortable plugging in your hands, guys, cut the nails. Okay, don't plug them in like this only. You might end up causing injury. So for this variation, make sure that the nails are cut. And if you don't want to insert the fingers inside, again, you can push the outer cartilage in, right? And like this, you can keep the ears closed. Once you close the ears, again, same practice we are going to do. Again, I let the sound fade away and went for the practice, right? Now, for those people who are having difficulty in keeping their hands up, they can normally place their hands on the knees, palms are facing upwards, right? Or you can adopt any kind of mudra like Chin Mudra or Gyan Mudra, right? And you can just sit normally and during exhalation create the makar chanting. You will be able to feel the vibration better if you keep the teeth together. And if you feel like it, you can also place your tongue on the upper palate so that improves the vibration of Brahmari. So totally up to you, whichever variation that you liked, whichever variation you thought was the most practical one for you, you can go ahead and do that. What you have to actually take care of is the Makar chanting that you are doing, right? So it's kind of Makar chanting only that we are doing. So do it correctly. The nasal accent should be there. As long as that is happening, you will feel the impact of Brahma, right? So let's come to the contraindications first. Who should not practice Brahmari? Again, Brahmari is a very accessible practice. There are only few people who should not go for the practice. One is people who are very introverted in nature, because Brahmari is a practice which will take you inwards, right? So if you are very introverted, don't want to increase that quality, then don't go ahead with Bhramari, right? You can go for more pranayams which are helping you for external interaction or being more outward, right? Creating more energy, right? Then people who have ear infection, so first two variations for them, they should not go for them, because if there is severe ear infection, you will not be able to close the ears, right? So Brahmari main benefit, guys, you will get only if you close the ears, right? Closing the ears is a very important part of Brahmari pranayam. So third variation, I would say you only go for that if it's completely impossible for you, right, to go for the first two. But closing the ears is very necessary, and hence in the case of any kind of severe ear infection, Brahmari should not be practiced. Right? For heart patients, there should be no retention, so this practice is fine, right? But no excess pressure, no retention is required for people with heart diseases, right? So, as you could see, let's come to the benefits of Brahmari. Brahmari is a tranquilizing pranayam. It's an amazing pranayam to close your yoga session with, right? So, in the beginning, the asana practice takes place, the body gets heated up, then you go for a few of the heating pranayams, and then you come to cooling pranayams, and then you close with a tranquilizing pranayam, which is Brahmari, right? So it's an amazing practice to close a session with. In fact, if you close a session with Brahmari, you will see that people are overall very, very soothed, right? One more point that I missed: Brahmari should not be practiced ever while laying down, right? So the different postures of the body, the sound changes, right? So have you ever seen when you lay down, your voice changes, right? When you're walking, your voice changes, right? So Brahmari should never be done in a laying position, only sitting posture, because it's a tranquilizing pranayam. A lot of students, they want to lie down and do Brahmari, right? So is that will not produce the right sound. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the benefits, Brahmari is a great practice. It, you know, your respiration, it becomes longer, deeper. Your heart rate, it goes down, right? It soothes your nervous system. It's a very, very like relaxing, calming practice. If especially some people, they struggle with the mind being very like disturbed, right? For those people, Brahmari is a great practice. When you produce the sound of makar, so the uh, vibration, as I said, it's felt over here, right? So if you look at it more closely, the vibration is actually felt throughout the face, right? In Brahmari. So Brahmari is a great practice for, if you want the glow on your face, if you want to reduce the aging on your face, if these days face yoga is coming up, right? So Brahmari will, make sure that the blood circulation in the facial region, it's very, very good, right? Brahmari has been shown to, even help people who have sinusitis, because during this pranayam we produce nitric oxide, right, which helps us in multiple ways, and especially in sinusitis, the production of nitric oxide, it really helps, right? So you will see a lot of COVID patients also, when they practice Brahmari, they saw a lot of improvement overall in their health, right? Apart from this, mental benefits are too many, right? If you do Brahmari, you will go with a much more clear, relaxed mind. So I would highly recommend, if you are a person who is having a very stressed life, or if you take tension very easily, practice Brahmari every day, right? It will help you to manage, and it will help you to even make your situation much better, right? So same goes for emotional ups and downs. Brahmari is a very soothing practice, and the more you go for this practice, the more you get connected with this feeling of calmness, right? So the best way to see what the practice is doing through the going through the practical portion only. So wherever you are on your mats, just sit comfortably. Keep your back and neck straight, and When you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. Start connecting with the natural flow of your breathing. Now slowly shift your attention to your body. Just become aware of your posture. See if you need to make any adjustments. Gently come back to your breathing. Start to take a few deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now we'll begin with our first practice. We are going to go for abdominal breathing. So exhale fully, contract your abdominal. And we will begin with the first round. Your deep inhalation. And while you do so, feel your abdomen expand and rise. Exhale deeply. Contract your abdomen. This is one round. Again, take a deep breath in. Expand your abdomen. Deep breath out. Contract your abdomen. Now go at your own pace. Just make sure when you breathe in, your abdomen should move out. And when you breathe out, your abdomen should move in. And after your next exhalation, suspend your practice. Just connect with the natural flow of your breath. See how the rhythm of your breath has changed. prepare yourself for the next practice. So we are going to go for a few rounds of Anulom Vilom. With the right hand, form the preferable mudra. Exhale fully. Bring your hand close to your nose while you do so. And after you exhale fully, close the right nostril. Begin to inhale to the left side. After completing the inhalation, close the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale. Right, close the left nostril and open the right nostril. After you exhale fully, begin to inhale through the right nostril again. And then close the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale. This is one round. Like this, continue your practice for a few more rounds. Keep alternating between both the nostrils and stay connected to each and every passing breath. After completing your current round, which means when you exhale through the left nostril, completely suspend your practice. Keeping your back and neck straight, simply observe how you feel, how you are breathing. Keeping your back and neck straight, prepare yourself for the practice of Brahmani. So with your hands, form the Shannon Mudra. And if you feel like going for any of the other variations, feel free to do so. Take a deep inhalation in. So keep the mouth closed at all times. And as you exhale out, create the sound of makar, the humming sound. Just keep connecting to your practice and generate the makar sound. After your next round, completely suspend your practice. With next exhalation, last humming sound, completely suspend your practice. Keep your back and neck straight and simply observe the soothing, tranquilizing impact of the primary pranayama. Allow the mind to settle, feel the changes. We are going to close today's session with one Omkar chanting followed by three Shanti. Sit straight and take a deep breath in for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibration. Join the palms and begin to rub the palms. Place the palms on the eyes. We'll do this one more time. Rub the palms. Place them on your head. Spread this energy on your face. Spread this energy across your body by looking down and blinking. Open up your eyes. Namaste.